You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Welcome back to the Renegade Blitz. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker. Glad to be back. The guys held the fort down for me over the last week, as you know, we're doing our actual career stuff right now. So again, guys, thank you for your great work along with Travis for the recap of that Steelers-Browns game. I came in for a little bit on that one. And overall, you guys have done a great job over the last week, and hopefully we'll continue that going into now the playoffs, at least pending right now for the Steelers. Steve Kornacki said that out of 264 games, the game right now, the Chargers and Raiders is 265. There has only been one game that had gone to a tie, and as we know, that was the Steelers-Lions game. So that means there's a 0.3 chance of a tie happening, at least based on those odds. And that's what Kornacki said. Basically, the Steelers have a 0.3% chance of not making the playoffs, barring Steelers fans will look at it as collusion, and maybe some people in the NFL as well, though I'm pretty sure they'll look over that because it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. But regardless, guys, how do we feel about this? It looks like the Steelers are going back to the playoffs, back-to-back years to send off a cap towards this, what looks to be the final season for Ben Roethlisberger, with at least an opportunity for a playoff run.
Well, I did predict 3 weeks ago that they was going to make. I thought they was going to win the division, but
yeah, you did. You said a whole.
Playoffs.
You said
I did it.
Another game at Heinz Field, but you did say playoffs though.
I said playoffs, so I'm like, I was right. Chris was wrong because he picked the Ravens.
You picked the Ravens. Oh yeah, me and Ty picked the Ravens. Yeah, that's right.
I picked them to win by 3.
Yeah.
On it, was it? Yeah, on a Boswell field goal.
Yeah.
I won today.
I said 20.
I was right.
You had 20-17, I think, so you were almost there. 16
I was
13.
I didn't get the score right. But
anyway, it's kind of the game we figured, the defensive game.
Yeah. Ugly. Ben was 30 for 44, 244 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Only got sacked 1 time, though. So, with the makeshift offensive line without Dan Moore, Dotson, and Green, they held up for the most part. They held on for the most part. Was it against the number 1 run defense in the league? I don't know what the ranking is overall. I'm not going to look that up, but kudos to the offensive line. I know they had a couple penalties along the way, but you can take that with that type of line. But I'm proud of Ben, and I'm proud of his heart. And I knew he was going to show some heart in the desire. What that means for next week, whole different story. However, for today, for this podcast, salute to Ben. Hats off to you.
Yeah,
hats off to him right now. And really, I want to make sure you guys notice right now, as it stands, we have 33 people watching us live on Twitter right now. So thank you for choosing us, I guess, as your post-game source of information. If you want to leave a comment for us for a question, do it in the tweet, not in the live stream thing, because I don't know, for some reason with StreamYard, they're not allowing us to have live comments in there, because I assure you, we would display them, we would read them up right now. That's just StreamYard being StreamYard. But regardless, it's really going to be an interesting playoff run for the Steelers. I think the running total, you want to go, when you think about it, Jerome Bettis' last year, 6th seed. Ben Roethlisberger's last year, 7th seed.
Number 7 for 7. 7th seed.
We're
You're
just trying to
playing
add up
a
the numbers. We're just trying to
Goliath in the
convince
first
ourselves.
round. Just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, credit you wrote that article a couple of weeks ago, the Pittsburgh Courier, Brandon, about this being Tomlin's best job, and now that they made the playoffs and they got him to 9 wins, I would have to agree. I think this is the best season, even over that 2019 season or 2019 season. This is, I mean, incredible for this roster for 9 wins. I mean, that's just truly incredible, I think.
Yeah, this roster has no business being in the playoffs as it's currently constructed.
I mean, like as we'll talk, they did. They got a break with the Colts. I said on the podcast I would have been absolutely shocked, and I'm still in shock that the Colts just completely laid down there. I did mention that Wentz, like he hasn't been that impressive this year. That they just had to hand off the ball to Jonathan Taylor. I haven't looked at the stats, but just assuming how that game went, the Jaguars just completely dominated there.
Yeah, they went pretty bad. But
yeah, Jacksonville.
I'm about to go for the stats right now, but I'm wondering right now. Irsay's a good owner, and he's more of a pay. He's not like a hair trigger. Like less patient owners. Like say if it was the guy in Washington, he would have been fired, Frank Wright, after that game. He would have been fired, that coach. That is a fire. That's almost a fireable offense.
I mean, that's just an epic collapse. Blowing it. They choked. I mean, there's no way other. I mean, I saw Rich Eisen said a couple of weeks ago. Everyone was saying the Colts will be the most dangerous team in the playoffs. No one wanted to play them, and now they're not even in the playoffs.
No one's gonna play them. That's just
really,
downright
crazy
shocking.
year in the NFL. You just never know what's going to happen, and I'm just glad Urban Meyer wasn't the coach of the Jaguars, because if he was, that wouldn't have happened, because they couldn't stand playing for him. Bevel, I saw
credit to Darrell Bevel. He took over the Lions last year whenever they lost Matt Patricia as their head coach there. So he's the at least end of season turnaround guy. Hopefully,
End of season.
I still can't forgive him for that Super Bowl 49 fiasco in which they still should have ran with Marshawn Lynch, but we're not a Seahawks podcast.
Yeah.
So let's move on from that.
Let's move on.
I saw his post game interview that he was the offense coordinator when Tomlin was with the Vikings in 2006. I didn't know that, so it was pretty interesting.
He was behind Childers. That's actually really interesting. I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, he was because that's what he's the one who persuaded Brett Favre to come back after he left the Jets and go to Minnesota, because he was with Minnesota. He was with Green Bay for a while when Favre was there, basically heading towards the end of his prime there.
Real quick, guys, because we're talking about this situation with Ben, I just want to make sure I get your guys' thoughts on this, just like in short. The trades, the possible trade targets for the Steelers last offseason when it came to quarterbacks was 1, Carson Wentz, and 2, Sam Darnold. Obviously, those 2 fell by the wayside. So when you're looking at that, does that give you hope, or does that kind of like makes you a little gun shy about potentially picking up a veteran, say Marcus Mariota, or maybe even Matt Ryan, or anyone really?
Well, they went out. I'm sorry, Chris.
You go ahead.
You go ahead and talk. Go ahead and talk, Chris.
I was just gonna say, I hope this quarterback draft is not. They're not gonna have a high enough pick anyway. I don't. There's only a couple of quarterbacks that are even gonna be considered for the first round, and I hear people talking about going with Mason Rudolph, and I don't know. I think that would be a massive mistake. I think they need to get. They might not get the big name and veteran quarterback, but they have to do something like you mentioned. Like Jimmy G's, he's under contract still, right?
Yes.
Yes,
he would have to be. He would have to be traded. So I don't know. I don't know if the Steelers will make. They're in a tough spot. I don't know. I just hope they don't have to go with Rudolph for the 2022 season.
All right. As my camera's off the air, I hope you guys can hear me. What I think is they already went out and said Atlanta, Matt Ryan's is our guy. I think he played well enough this year. His they're rebuilding and the rest of his team, his defense and everything, running game failed him. I don't watch enough Falcons football. Any Falcons fans, give me any feedback on B Walker the Dawn on Twitter. Yes, and Garoppolo is a good, but he's going to be worth a second round pick, maybe a first, because he just led his team to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. And like he at least has some mobility, and Tomlin's been mentioning that all year during his press conference. That's why the one thing I don't know about Matt Ryan, because he's not a mobile quarterback or doesn't have any mobility really. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll give up a second for Jimmy G either.
I know
it'd be a little insane. I mean, I see a lot of people speak about his praises, and there's one guy who's going to the Senior Bowl. We could also ask him about that because he has a huge semi-Niners contingent alongside of, so we could ask what he thinks about that in the future whenever we get into the off season. But there's a lot to talk about, of course, on the defensive side of the ball. The big story is TJ Watt, after getting a little hosed by the hometown scorekeeper, where maybe he got some grace last week from Pittsburgh's, he did still manage to tie Michael Strahan's single-season sack record. So he will go down into the record books with 22 and a half sacks. He did it in less games than Strahan, even though this season there's more games played. Strahan's was done in a 16-game season, and he played all 16. But Watts was done in a 17-game season, and despite it all, he didn't play every single game. I think he only played 15 or 14. 15. I can't remember.
Played 15, missed part of three games as well, went out early. I always said, I'm sorry, always into the belief that he should be considered for MVP. Now, I think since the Steelers have made at least we think they made the playoffs. It's 3-0 Raiders, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. All right. I'm giving you guys a score update live as we speak. But I always thought he should be an MVP candidate because they made the playoffs. Where would this team be without TJ Watt and Hayward? They'd be in the crapper.
Yeah.
All day.
Well, it looks like they're going to give it to another quarterback. It appears to be.
Do you have to give it to a quarterback every time?
You know how.
How many MVPs has he won? This will be his fourth.
He's definitely a lock for TJ Watt's definitely a lock for defensive player of the year. And yes. I don't know. What do you think about the sack? Do you think I see people on Twitter saying he should be credited for that the first half sack, or that they took away?
I've seen it. He should have at least have a sack to have him at 23, so he would have the record. Yeah. And he earned
and that. And the thing is, Brett Favre literally laid down when Strahan set the record.
Brett Favre literally told the right tackle, "Yo, just let him through, and I'm just going to lay down." I gave it to him. Basically. I mean, as far as I'm concerned like that, I'll look at TJ Watts, and I love me some Michael Strahan. Like he's one of the best pass rushers of all time. And regardless, even if giving up that record, I still recognize it as a legitimate record. But still, when I look at how it was done versus what happened so he could get his stuff, I'll look at TJ Watts as much more impressive.
Yes.
Why do you think the statistician took the sack away? Because do you think because he fumbled or there was a fumble and he got up and then he sacked him? I guess.
I think that bad snap really that bad snap first, because it was a bad snap. Huntley managed to pick it up off the ground, but as he was trying to get up, Watt got him there. So I think the question is it's could Huntley be established as a runner?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happened, because if you pick it up, it's no longer a attempted passing play. Now it's a turnover. It's a running play.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about it. So that's how they probably graded it according to Pro Football Focus or the statisticians. I don't know.
Like if the snap went over his head and he picked it up and was still running, they still would have called that a sack, even though it was a bad snap. So I don't know. Elias Sports might have to look at that, give Watt the record.
He deserves it. He needs the record. He needs to win it. I'm telling you, he's the MVP of the NFL right now. No matter, I know it's a quarterback award, but what I'm saying, but why do we always got to give it to quarterbacks? Why?
I think because we haven't thought of this is why the NFL really has to go into like sort of like the MLB with the gold gloves. There's no singular gold glove or silver slugger throughout the entire thing. It's like, yes, you can see a guy that has the most home runs, but they grade it by position. Best quarterback, best running back, best receiver, best offensive lineman, best edge rusher, best interior defensive lineman.
That would be what's up.
You know, like best cover linebacker, corner, safety. That's what they need to really do here in the future, because MVPs, again, it's more or less given to the best quarterback or the best offensive player. And I think maybe if they split it up and say, here's the offensive MVP, here's the defensive MVP, here's the best players from each position. But I guess they kind of go in, well, that's the all-pro team. But regardless, I think when you look at it and take a true look into the Steelers season, you think of that sack fumble against Geno Smith against Seattle. I was in attendance calling for Watt. I told a guy right next to me, it's got to be Watt. And it was Watt. Watt won him that game.
Right.
Boswell kicked it 30 uprights, but Watt won them that game in that situation.
Yeah, it just seemed to me that the Steelers, they played in 3 overtime games this year, and they actually won 8 of their 9 games this season by 8 points or fewer. So a lot of tight games this year.
Yeah, you're finished with a point differential of minus 55.
Is that what they finished at?
Wow. Playoff team. Yes. And I'm going to look up the record of what the records are. Is say if we win the Super Bowl, see what the record is, because I think it might be the 2011.
It's got to be the lowest. It's got to be one of the lowest for a team to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are in the -2 right now. If they make
but not as bad as them. Yeah, because they got ramrodded by the Chiefs a couple times, because we did a color cast and they got their Chiefs clapped against the Chiefs. Oh, sorry. Are we allowed to say that?
That's clean. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. But yes, that fine. Was there was a few times in which the Steelers got spanked, and it was against the Bengals and that stretch against the Raiders and the Bengals early in the season. It also really did them in. The Packers.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't see a playoff berth. They had the toughest schedule in the league. Yep. Their offensive line was really bad at times this year. They had no running game at times. Run defense was absolutely. They still struggle at that. They got gashed again today. So,
and I want to say this right now, Chris. Guess who did? This guy.
Yeah, you did.
I actually did. I said this: 10-7, 7th seed. They tied once. So as far as I'm concerned, the record will always look back and say that Tyler Polk was right and Chris Ward was wrong.
Yeah,
I didn't. I wasn't here for the prediction, so I didn't have a prediction.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you can't have one now.
I didn't have a prediction at the beginning because you guys didn't have me on until after the 3rd preseason game.
Yeah.
And I know Ben, credit, he's still not the same. He can't extend the plays like he did. I know Ty. I mean, Brandon, you got on Twitter, you got roasted for saying that they should have benched him back in September. But
I was still getting roasted.
I wasn't that far into it, but I was wondering, like, this isn't looking good. But credit to the Steelers. They always find a way to at least be respectable. And have a winning season. Tomlin never had a losing season. That helps him with a winning season too, because if he went 8-1, he would have been hearing a lot from fans like saying like this isn't the standard and stuff. But we'll have to see what happens if they make the playoffs. But the record for not winning a playoff, and they haven't won since 2016 season was against the Chiefs in 2017. But you get the playoffs in January, but that hasn't happened 5 straight seasons without a playoff win since before 1972. So hopefully they could get a playoff win on next week.
Get one, but they're gonna have to. You know who they're gonna have to play against to do it.
Yeah, they'll have to go through.
And I remember the last time they went up there in the playoffs, they got it done.
Boswell had to kick him through the entire divisional round.
But that ain't gonna happen again. That ain't gonna happen this time.
Oh no, that's a way
Alex
different.
Smith.
That Chiefs team has one player off the top of my head that was there whenever they won that game, and that was Travis Kelce. And even then, Travis Kelce was good, but he's not on the level he was. He's not on that level now. That level.
And I had Tyreek Hill. He was a rookie.
He was a rookie?
He was a rookie.
I don't think he made the impact. They're not on that level.
He was a good special teamer. He was more of a returner than a receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, so the Raiders are up 10-0 now?
10-0. Carter Winthrow.
Hunter Renfrow. But there's a lot of things that could go on with this team. I mean, once you're in the playoffs, you never know. Maybe this could be the difference. Maybe going on the road is actually better for this team, even though this is not a good road team this year. Not by any stretch of the imagination. They'd actually rather be at home for this playoff game this year, but maybe sometimes whenever you're just not in a familiar place, you get back to basics, and that's one thing you got to hope for the Steelers this time around.
So what do you think is gonna if they do make it, and this score holds up? What do you think is going to be different? What do they have to do different for them not to get beat down again?
They got to capitalize on any chance they get. Anytime they get the ball, they got to go down there and they got to go with the intentions of walking away with a touchdown, if not at the very least a field goal, because they can't let Kansas City get on runs. This is a different Chiefs team from what they were whenever they were even in the 2019 season. This is a way different Chiefs team, but still, you don't want good teams getting on runs, and that's what the Steelers need right now.
And plus, they can be more methodical down the field now, too.
Yeah.
They're just not no big play. You can see them. They can get chunks. Be patient. Then pick them apart.
It's a classic Andy Reid team, really.
Oh yeah.
It's gone from the fun and gun, run and gun offense where there's it's more in line of what the Chiefs teams were before Mahomes and back whenever he had Donovan McNabb at quarterback.
I'll say they can't turn the ball over. Like they were -3 last time, and I think the Chiefs scored like 17 points off of those turnovers. So this can't give out the. They were +3 I think today. Did they turn the ball over? I don't think they did.
With the Steelers?
Yeah,
they did. They Ben had a pick.
They got picked.
Oh yeah, Ben had an interception. That's right. And then what was their turnover differential? Are you looking at the stats right now?
I think it was
right now Huntley threw 2 interceptions, and he also lost a fumble.
Yeah.
So it was Huntley by knack of having the ball, if you look at it, they were plus, he lost in the game. And really big ups to the Steelers secondary as well. When you think about the Ravens potentially going down there and winning with that field goal, you think back to Minkah Fitzpatrick's key breakup on Hollywood Brown. He just came on the sideline. Hollywood Brown had his feet down, ready to go, and Minkah punched that ball out.
Yes.
That was a play that. Those are the type of plays that even if he's not getting picks, you want to see right there, because that's ultimately what his contract is going to be about when it's time for him.
Yeah, that was a fantastic.
You don't have to pay him, right?
Yeah.
He's up for it.
He's up for one, yeah. And how close would the Ravens have been to field goal range if Brown?
It was at about the 45.
Oh, so they would have been close.
And it'll be at Baltimore's 45, but they've been up there. If they ran the ball more effectively, more instead of giving the ball to Huntley.
Yeah, that red zone interception. That red zone interception.
That was like one of the – that was a – he didn't put enough touch on the ball.
Yeah.
If he
I
put
know.
more touch on the ball, that would have been a score for Baltimore. Because it
saw
looked like
a quote from
Andrews.
Yeah, it was a difference in throws in that situation because you remember that big fourth down completion by Roethlisberger was almost a similar type of throw for Huntley, but the difference is that was just enough.
Right.
And for Ben Roethlisberger versus Huntley, that's down the red zone. You got to zip that ball in there.
Yeah, he did right to McLeod.
That was the difference right there. Really, they could have got a field goal at least off of that drive. They even turned the ball over.
Why didn't they run the ball more? They rushed for about 100.
I thought they should have in that red zone situation. I think it was second.
Yeah, and that's definitely in that red zone situation. That was going down the field.
Yeah. Tavius Murray had 150 yards.
Huntley had 72. Freeman at 5 for 21, 4.2. They averaged 6.9 yards a rush.
Yeah, the Steelers' run defense that's not going to be fixed at all this year, no matter what happens.
That's just what they are right now. They're just not a good run stopping team, and you know that it's going to be better next year. That run defense is going to be better next year, and the Ravens are going to have their horses back because if you remember, they lost both of the running backs that would be in their stable, not even in the preseason, early in training camp. So the Ravens just got hurt at the absolute worst time ever.
Yeah. And plus, Lamar Jackson didn't play.
The end of the season. And all of them were close. Like, pretty much all of them were close games. Like, real close.
Yeah, no doubt. What else we want to talk about here? I think we kind of just, covered it all, really. I mean, I'd say, we could talk more about McLeod. I think we kind of got the thing with the Steelers. If you remember, Ryan Switzer was the special teamer that the Steelers tried to make into something a little bit more out in the receiving game. And I think McLeod just does it better than Switzer. I think overall there was a lot of disappointments. There was felt that he needed to break one out there on the return game, but even with it, there was one return he got the Steelers out to the 50, a punt return. So overall, you want him to break one for a special teams touchdown, but I think overall, when you look at Ray McLeod's impact, especially after Juju Smith-Schuster went down, all in all, it was a good season for him.
It was. He surprised me stepping up at the number 3 slot. At times, he was more consistent than Claypool.
Yeah, I mean, they both came through in the second half. I know on Twitter, they target McLeod a lot, and Canada and Tom say he gets open, and I get that and everything, but sometimes it feels like they're targeting him too much. But hey, credit to him, he made a great catch there on 4th and 8, and a couple key plays down there. And Claypool had the touchdown grab. His second of the year, he was struggling. I think he had no receptions in the first half. And Matt Canada, actually, he did a good job doing those end arounds and those jet sweeps, got their running game going.
Yeah, actually, he showed a little bit of number one, he showed a little bit of awareness. Remember when he went up the middle?
Got
that first down, used his body. And number 2,
Speaking of awareness, what do you think about Freiermuth not getting that first down? Tomlin wasn't too happy.
I know. Okay. All right, he did not get the first down.
He played a good game though.
He did. Okay, if he switched the ball to the left, he tried to run out of bounds. That happens.
It was a rookie mistake.
Clutch play after clutch play.
Yeah.
He had 3 to 4 clutch catches.
Oh, yeah, he was good. Catch after the run.
Yes, run after the catch. Because they were talking about he was the main one. You got to – not only do you have to catch the ball, but you have to make the extra effort. It sounds obvious and cliche, but he was the main guy doing it. Led the team with catches. Like I said, he will lead the Steelers to the next generation of Steeler football.
How about that Johnson, that route he ran? That was the same route he scored on the touchdown earlier this year against the Ravens when Humphrey got injured. Was out for the same whip route where he goes. It looks like he's going out in, and then he cuts outside. He had a big first down on the game-winning drive doing that same route. They had two third. They had I believe 2 third and long conversions, and then the 4th and 8 one.
Yes. You know what?
You take a look at the Steelers with tight end usage in this game. A combined 10 catches for 92 yards between Freiermuth and Gentry. And Gentry's coming on after Ebron's injury. That's really huge as well. I mean, really, the tight end room for the Steelers last year was sort of a weakness. That's a strength. And Roethlisberger had more confidence going over the middle for the first time in a while. And that is exactly what you want to see out of the Steelers now.
Yeah, they started
Harris and Freiermuth. That's your foundation.
Yeah, I mean,
get back to where the Steelers need to be, because now they can get back to Steeler football, true Steeler football with Ben retiring.
Yeah, I mean, as Ty mentioned,
that could be their entire identity.
They'll get to it back next year. Lulu. They still got some issues there with the inside linebacker position with Devin Bush and Joe Schober, but you have the defensive player of the year. He's going to win it, TJ Watt. So they're set up well next year. They just got to figure out that quarterback position.
They're really probably trying to shore up offensive line, what they want to do there.
Yeah.
So there's still – it's a honey-do list for the Steelers in the offseason right now, but the way they finish the season – there's a lot of things you like about the future of this team. You're hoping that Claypool doesn't have that. It was just a sophomore slump for Claypool. And you're also hoping that there's more progression with there. Maybe a veteran running back to spell Harris, like they've always done. That's something they need to look into on the list. They're definitely going to go draft a receiver at some point during this draft, but I think Washington's good as gone.
Oh, yeah.
They're most likely going to do something with maybe getting another veteran wide receiver presence wouldn't help them. They have a ton of money to play with. The cap's going to start jumping again, which really killed them last offseason. So there's a lot to look into. Also on the defensive side, I think Witherspoon and Wormley already is on a 2-year deal, but I think they may try to see if they can add another year or so to that sometime in the future. There's a lot of things they have now. They have depth on the defensive line, depth that did something. It's really all about shoring up the linebacker room for them and maybe trying to figure out if they can find another outside corner, because who knows what they're going to do with Hayden.
Yeah, I think Hayden's probably done. So they haven't picked up Bush's option yet, right?
No, they'll have to this offseason.
They shouldn't.
Yeah,
I would if we got to look at the draft boards.
Ben already came out and said Kendrick Green should move to guard.
Yeah, basically did. He did what everyone thought about. So I think that first round pick's going to Lindenbaum, the center from Iowa. If he falls to them, we're gonna see about that draft boards. I think this year.
I don't know if he's gonna make it. He might be the first center that might make top 10. That's what I'm saying. Centers are more important in the NFL than ever. So that's not this outside the realm of possibility to be for a center to be top 10. See, guards are going top 10 all the time. Now, why not centers? He's a top 10 talent in this draft, so I don't see that happening for them. I'd say you go for it. We looked through the centers in free agency. I would try to go after a center in free agency, a solid one. You got money. It's about time that y'all put money into this daggone team in free agency. Kevin Colbert has retired.
He's going to retire at the end of the draft.
Well, at the end of the draft.
So he's still with the free agency. So he's still going to be there through free agency, and you could basically mark it down for the two candidates right behind him in the front office. Khan and the other name is running through my head right now, but I can't remember. Brandon Hunt. Thank you, Brandon Hunt and Omar Khan. They're definitely going to be the guys I'm waiting for. One's going to be named GM. One's probably going to get an upgrade into assistant GM. Yeah. I think Khan might end up being the GM, and they probably put Hunt add an assistant GM tag to the director of pro scouting thing.
Right.
So there's a lot of things going on with the Steelers offseason. We'll talk more about that in the future. As now we're going to sit here and watch tonight's game right now with the Raiders and Chargers. Brandon, what's the score right now?
It's still 10-0.
Still 10-0. All right.
Still 10-0. Chargers have the ball, driving down the field. Herbert, incomplete. So they are in field goal range. The Los Angeles Chargers. I was going to call them San Diego, but they will always be the San Diego Chargers to me. Always.
That's fair.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on renegadeblitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.